All right, as I get taken off the ledge, taken down the ledge by my partner here in crime, the trendsetter, Brian Berga. Let's talk about this, man. And I love first and foremost how the news media, the wrestling journalists here have pillaged from another uh, news outlet, I guess. But hey, listen, we're not news breakers, nor do we claim to be. But when we have something juicy, we'll throw it out there for you guys for free. So definitely check us out on our X. I was going to say Twitter, but I said X, High Spot Podcast. We got a little bit of info on our that we have pinned there. So if you want to check it out, do so. We'll keep you updated on that as well. But again, though, if you want to pay for a paywall and get news that's from us, then definitely, if you want it for free, go through us on all our social media platforms at High Spot Podcast. But I digress, Trendsetter, because what we're here to talk about is something far more greater, far more worse, far more vile, and that is the recent allegations, the newest allegations on one Vincent Kennedy McMahon, that if you read it, we're not going to read it verbatim or word for word here because, well, actually means the same thing. We don't want to get too graphic, and this is a PG show for you guys, so we want the kids to be able to watch it. But it's out there for you guys, the newest stuff now involving Vince McMahon. So let's get to it. All right. So with all the great things that WWE has done, and you knew something was going to happen, especially as we were talking about the road to WrestleMania. You knew it was too good to be true. You had Cody on the cover of 2K24 along with Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley. You had the Netflix deal, one of the biggest deals of all time. WWE kind of doubled their margin here. Nick Khan's a beast, a dog, the man. And then all of a sudden you get all the talk about WrestleMania. You get The Rock, who's on the board of directors. You get all these good things. And then all of a sudden, the one guy that can kill his own creation has done it. And that is Vince McMahon. Because now as you head into the Royal Rumble, this stuff that we're hearing about Vince McMahon, although I can't say I'm surprised, which is sad, because he's someone that I respected on a business sense, right? You don't know somebody personally, but you respect these guys on what you see on TV and the business acumen and what he's built in 40 plus years. You gotta, hand it to the man. But Trendsetter, when you read this stuff and you see just, the kind of guy that he is, and now these are allegations. There's been, he's said something today that we'll get into about how he feels about those accusations. But man, Trendsetter, I guess what I'm trying to say is that it all kind of makes sense now of where Vince McMahon is as far as his position in TKO and why he's kind of been pushed out. But when you hear stuff like this and you hear the allegations beforehand when he had to leave the company before, wow, I'm just like shaking my head. And how is this the same Vince McMahon that, the pioneer, the revolutionary, the visionary, the maverick, right? How has he fallen out of the graces of everyone's eyes that we just want to wipe him out now? It's truly a sad story when you read this.
It's a sad story. It's one that's, sad's one word. I think disgusting and cringeworthy, and just something that you just, I wouldn't even say shake your head. You just, in terms of disappointment or anything like that. It's more of just like unbelievable that stuff like this exists, because what you see on television, what you see presented to you is one thing, and how people want to present themselves, and image is everything, right? But when it comes to people and what they do in their private life and the skeletons that they might have in their closet, or if the case might be, it just shows you a different light of individuals. Like, again, like you said before in the beginning, you can respect Vince McMahon in terms of what he's accomplished, entrepreneurship, the vision he had for his father's company at the time they took over, and wanted to take WWE to heights it's never been to, where he successfully did that too. But in terms of the personal side of who Vince McMahon is, you listen to these allegations, and everybody's gone on social media and looked at the stories, read stuff, text messages. It's horrible stuff, man. And it just, it makes you think, how stuff like this could, well, how it's kept under wraps, but how could it just be allowed in the environment that it's in? You promote a company to be friendly, work safe, a safe work environment, and then things like this happen, and it dawns a shadow on the company for the likes of all the successful things they have done as they move past it. And like you said before, it makes sense now, because you look at the scenario where you and we were shocked and thought that these allegations were, Vince will overcome it like he always does. I mean, he even came out on television,
SmackDown, it was
SmackDown,
Defiant.
defiant about it. And then before you know it, less than 24, maybe 48 hours later, he goes on social media and announces his retirement. We're like, oh my god, we just saw the impossible happen. Vince McMahon has left WWE, and then the company's being sold. And now looking back on it, hindsight being 2020, now you know why most likely all these moves were made. And you know for the fact of why Vince is no longer around. Now, I hate to be this to say because again, these allegations are so strong. You like to say people are innocent until proven guilty, but in this day and age, Jeff, you are guilty till you're proven innocent right now. And just it's so bad that it's so easy for people to say, and Vince's representatives have come out to defend him, saying that all these allegations are lies, they're false. But when all this comes out, and it continually comes out, getting worse and worse, and so many people are backing it up and saying yes, it's true. It's kind of hard to negate it and to deny it. It's going to be it's a tough road, and at the end of the day, and I'll let you talk because I'm going to ramble on here for another couple hours, and we're never trying to make this a short segment here. But it just gives you a bad lasting feeling in terms of what Vince was before, and now what he's kind of been perceived now in terms of all these things that are coming out. It's horrible stuff, dude.
Yeah, I mean, basically, the statement made by a spokesman for Vince McMahon was that the lawsuit is full of lies, made up instances, and vindictive distortion of the truth. And he will vigorously, which that word, I love that they use that word vigorously, will defend himself. It's very tough to think the man is. There is some, obviously, a distortion of the truth. So something did happen. We do know that she has signed an NDA, and stuff has come out. So we do know that there was something going on. Now, to the extent that is being reported, and again, if you guys are saying why they're being so vague, just spit it out. Unfortunately, we can't. That's why you got to read it and go online and read this stuff because it's there. So we're just reacting to our emotions and where we are as fans, because as we head into the Royal Rumble, you've got all these things now that are kind of casting a shadow over it and kind of have more importance to than what we're going to get on Saturday and what we're going to get in the weeks ahead. And that's basically that it's not a safe working environment. It's not a safe workplace. And if you're somebody that's representing the company and you're a high profile superstar in there, you kind of have to take a step back and be like, what's going on? You need some assurances from a Nick Khan and from a Triple H that, hey, this is in the past, has been, this is something that we've taken care of. Now, remember, I don't know to the extent where Nick Khan voted against Vince McMahon coming back to the company. Triple H was on that vote. So was Stephanie McMahon. Now, to say that they kind of did an investigation, they knew about this stuff that was going on, and maybe that's why they cast a light and didn't do an investigation on the victim, that I don't know. So I'm not going to speculate until more news comes out. But as far as I know is that they voted against Vince to come back to the company. So what I'm trying to get to is the work environment now for the superstars and for everybody there, whether it's the secretaries or anybody involved there. It has to be a safe work environment, and they have to, unfortunately, find some way to tell Vince, Vince, it's time to just pack it in, and you cannot be the face anywhere near associated with TKO. And that's just flat out. That's all you have to do. You cannot have him around whatsoever. Take your money and just got to go away. That's all you can do,
Yeah, go away, and then there's no timetable in terms of when or if he would ever come back, nor should I. The debate would be, should he ever come back in terms of that, and then people will discuss also too, should he now be erased from a lot of what he has done and accomplished in terms of what he's done for WWE. The debate goes back and forth, and like you said too, we're trying to be vague on this. We're not trying to be vague. I mean, it's out there, guys, if you want to see it. I mean, I don't honestly want to repeat it either in terms of things that are happening. We talk about human trafficking and things that are going on within the company and things being shared and certain favors from a personal standpoint being done for a particular reason and people taken advantage of for having misfortune on them to get a job and things of that nature, being passed. All those things are just horrible stuff to talk about or discuss. We're not here to discuss the details and to describe them and to pinpoint in terms of, oh, this person said this and this person that. And you guys know it's out there, right? It's just more fact, it just paints a bad light on the company. And then for potential things that could have been happening in terms of the other people involved, not just Vince McMahon, but the other people involved in terms of the stories being brought out there. And one of the names out there, Jeff, and then I'll say now, was somebody that we're looking forward to possibly seeing a return at the Royal Rumble.
Someone that we give a lot of credit to being a once in a generation talent, and a guy that, again, up until his last run, was we saw another side of Brock Lesnar. We saw that babyface guy, and we loved Cowboy Brock, right?
Yeah.
But we're talking about Brock Lesnar, and this stuff is some serious stuff. And when you now look at what maybe what helped his return, his last run, you kind of shake your head. It's like, man, the story behind it. Um, so here's the deal, right? So obviously, we're going to talk about surprises in our Royal Rumble preview, and he potentially could have been a surprise guy uh, entering the Rumble. It was definitely out there. But with this stuff, I find it hard to believe for WWE, for them to, in good consciousness, put him out there on SmackDown or on the Royal Rumble. And as far as we talk about putting a monkey wrench in a match possible at WrestleMania against Gunther, that also to me would seem to be off the table. So somebody like Brock Lesnar, who obviously has been named in this, as his name brought up in this case, with the stuff that you've read, and you're like shaking your head and you're like, I can't believe it. He seems to be off the table. I would, just for public relations thing, would think that he wouldn't be involved in Tampa. And it's just another thing where, again, as somebody that you see on TV and you hold in a high light, obviously is not so much anymore, right? So it's just something that, as more stuff is going to come out, and this is reported by the Wall Street Journal. So you mentioned about the sex trafficking, talked about Vince McMahon, and again, it's just about being, using your abusive power, and it's not good, man. It's not good. And while I guess this stuff happened in the past, and now that whole Vince McMahon regime and John Laurinaitis have been wiped kind of away, these revelations don't paint the WWE in a good light. And it could maybe damage a potential deal with Netflix. No, you don't know what it's going to hold. But as more stuff comes out, it definitely puts a dark cloud on what is the road to WrestleMania.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's probably the main focal point people are talking about right now. It's the fact of, what does this bode for Brock Lesnar's future? Because, like you said, he was possibly a surprise for the Royal Rumble. People were talking about it. Rumors were flying around. We heard things too as well that it could be a possibility. And now with that, I don't see a way how you could do it and continually do it, even though people can defend and say, well, these are allegations, and again, something similar to what happened in the Chris Jericho incident, where they put him on TV and they're like, he should have been taken off the card. In this scenario, I just don't see any way you can bring Brock Lesnar on a SmackDown or bring him in at the Royal Rumble and it being a good thing. I think in the scenario too, it's like you look at it from the perspective, just from a wrestling standpoint, just real quick before I move on to the business thing and let you talk, Chef, is that with all this being said, I think right now, Brock Lesnar, we probably have seen the last probably of him, not only for the rest of this remaining road to WrestleMania, but it is possible, because if he's looking to re-sign with WWE and sign him, I don't know if you could really justify that anymore of what's going on here.
Yeah.
And we possibly maybe have seen the last of Brock Lesnar's last match would be against Cody Rhodes. And his future now is up in the air, not just for the Royal Rumble or WrestleMania, but in his relationship with WWE. From a standpoint, from business wise, although it happened during the Vince McMahon regime, it just puts WWE in a bad light, and nobody knows more than anything we've seen during this day and age, where if it could have happened 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 years ago, as long as it's brought to the attention, people who are investing within the company, in this case, the deal with Netflix, CW, what's going on here with all these deals that have just happened, these great business moves that have happened, could that throw a monkey wrench in a lot of stuff too? But again, this is not to put underneath or not to diminish the significance of the allegations, the
No,
victim fear, and stuff like that. We're just talking about from the WWE role and the business side of it, and in terms of performers like Brock Lesnar, what does the future hold there? And obviously Vince McMahon now really causing himself now to the point where you don't want anything to be associated. They're trying to dissociate Vince McMahon and WWE. that's the stages we're dealing with right now. And I hate to say the fact of I'm not surprised, but things like this don't shock me anymore. As cringeworthy and disgusting as this stuff is, it doesn't surprise me when this happens in the world of business sometimes.
And now we talked about the business aspect and about the future and about the road to WrestleMania. But now let's talk about to the most important part, and that is the victim or victims, or who's been a victim of Vince McMahon or anybody, whether it's a John Laurinaitis or Brock Lesnar or anybody. That's the most important thing. And I'm going to get to it because I'm saving the most important thing for last. And so hopefully you've watched the whole thing and you haven't say, oh, well, they're just talking about the business aspect. It's a monkey wrench on their show because they want to see this happen. Fine, you can think that, but now you get to the end here, and this is where we tell you that in light of everything, this is the most important part. Whoever was associated with this, whoever has been found to be guilty or whatever it's caused, this is basically a typical abuse of power in the workplace where you use your power to control somebody. And the worst thing scenario is we're shedding light now on sex trafficking. There's so many things in the world now where it's shedding light on just every forms of it. And it's deplorable, it's despicable, and we don't condone any of it. And so whatever happens, whoever is involved, they need to be removed from the company. And that's it. Whether you want to cancel Vince McMahon, that's your prerogative. That's fine. It's hard for them to wipe out all the footage of Vince McMahon because the Attitude Era, Vince McMahon was in it. So it's kind of hard to distort that. I mean, you can distort a Chris Benoit, you can distort a lot of stuff, and I get it. But the face of the company, I think we might just have to live with that for now and know that always that, what kind of guy Vince McMahon ended up being. But we will see. And our emphasis is this. If anyone has been found guilty and associated with all these heinous acts, then they should be removed. And the most important thing is for the superstars and for the employees backstage, from everybody from, the temps to the secretaries to anybody who works in the new headquarters in Stamford, Connecticut, that their safety is first and foremost. And hopefully this is in the past and we're shedding it to light so that we have more knowledge about the stuff that went on. That's always a good thing. And hopefully this black eye, definitely a huge black eye in WWE, they learn from it because this stuff will not be tolerated in this day and age. And remember, folks, if you think you got secrets and you got your skeletons in the closet, don't ever think that you're higher and above it ever coming out because at the end of the day, it will.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing more I could say in terms of what Jeff just said in closing, and the fact that whatever happens here in terms of what happens legally, people that are found responsible or found to be a part of this should be removed and brought to justice too, in terms of any legal ramifications that are caused of this right now. So it's not to put light on the scenario like this. It's more of just to draw attention that what Jeff had alluded to too. It's the fact that it draws a black eye and a dark cloud right now over WWE, where WWE would gain so much momentum, and now something like this, it's not important that it throws a monkey wrench into a lot of things that we could have seen to the future for, the Royal Rumble and for WrestleMania. No, that's completely last list of the priority. This just has something to do with the fact that these allegations come out. It's amazing that you see individuals in places of power, and we look at those scenarios and those individuals, and we have some type, I'll be the first to admit, some type of admiration, because you look at individuals like that and you want to aspire to that level of success or that level of greatness, whatever you want to define it as. And then you see the scenario of people that have that and abuse it, or have that and don't use it to
For
what
good.
it's for the good for everyone else. And that's the most discouraging part about this. And then you have individuals that are taken advantage of and are put in situations where there is no escape. They have no choice but to adhere to what's going on because there is no other option. There's no option B or C or D. And then the other people involved. So it's murky stuff. Like I said, we've seen a lot that have come out today as you guys are watching this. And I'm sure after watching this, there'll to be a lot more details to go on too. But it's not getting any better. It's getting worse by the minute, by the hour of more stuff that's coming out. In the span of 24, 40 hours, it's going to get even worse too. But we just wanted to give our reaction to it because it's something that just needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
And something that, again, as WWE tries to move on past this, which is going to be very difficult, and God knows how long it's going to take to try and move past something like this, and to move on everyone involved, all parties, it's going to be something that it couldn't happen at the worst possible time in the scenario that all these deals were being done, and now a scenario where from a business aspect, how do you recover from this, and from a legal standpoint to what's the next step. We'll find that out as the days and the weeks and the months goes by, but whatever happens, we'll be the first ones to react to it as well and give you guys our input and our take on it right now. Right now, we're talking vaguely just because we don't have all the information. Once it's all out, then we can derive an opinion on certain things once it becomes finalized. But again, we're figuring it out as you guys are figuring it out as well. And again, just a shocking turn of events. Unbelievable to hear this. Like I said, for me, I don't mean to be insensitive when I say this, but it's not surprising that things like this pop up because you knew it was in the workings in terms of what was going on, and now the truth is coming out. There's never a right time for it to come out, or for these allegations, the more of the truths to come out, or the lies, whatever the case might be. But man, it's what a day in terms of what's going on right now. It's been a crazy day.
And finally, is wrestling community, it should not be about tribalism. It should not be to say, hey, AEW wouldn't happen if this happened, or Vince McMahon is getting what he deserves. Oh no, this is about the victims solely. Yeah. And to tribalize it and say that one company is better than the other, and no, then you're just not seeing it. It's not right. It's not the main thing. To choose this as a topic to support on why a company is better, shame on you, because that's not what it is. It's not what it's about. It's about the victims. And here at High Spot Podcast, again, you're shaking our heads, cannot believe the stuff that's coming out. At the end of the day, it's about the victims and they're, and not being able to have closure. So again, it's nothing that we condone, and it's just sad. Trendsetter, it really is with the stuff that we're hearing. But as far as us, again, we'll see how it plays out. And anything changes, we'll definitely keep it here. But you're watching HSP. This has been our reaction to the newest Vince McMahon allegations. Make sure you subscribe and like here on the Give Us a Shot Network. And we'll see you later, man.
See you guys.